wind moved like a restless spirit across the wide, endless prairie, stirring golden stalks of grass that shimmered under the fading light of the setting sun, and somewhere between the distant blue ridges of the mountains and the lonely shadow of a crooked oak tree, a girl's desperate sobs broke through the silence, echoing into the vastness as if the land itself could feel her fear. She clutched the wrinkled paper in her trembling hands, words inked in haste, words she could barely read through her tears, words that told her everything she had prayed was untrue, that she had been abandoned, cast aside, left alone in a world where every horizon was a prison and every step forward felt like a betrayal of her heart. And she cried out with the broken voice of someone who had no one left to hear her. Please don't leave me here. But someone did hear. Someone who had been riding the trails longer than the sun had burned that sky. A cowboy with eyes like storms and a heart burdened with scars, his boots heavy with dust, his revolver weighing at his hip, his soul weary of both war and wandering. And when he saw her, hunched in the prairie grass, shoulders shaking, fingers crumpling the letter against her chest, something in him shifted. Something that had been locked away for years like a shuttered window forced open by the wind. And though he knew better than to step into another person's sorrow, he dismounted his horse and went to her anyway. Because sometimes the land gives you no choice but to act, and sometimes a cry like hers pierces a man deeper than a bullet ever could. She looked up at him with eyes full of terror, pleading before she even knew who he was, and he didn't ask her name. He didn't demand her story. He simply wrapped his strong arms around her frail frame as she gasped and struggled against her own fear, whispering, "Please, please, don't leave me here," until the words broke apart in sobs, and the cowboy, hardened by years of silence, found himself answering softly, "I won't," even though he didn't know where those words would lead him, even though promises were things he had sworn never to make again. And with that, he lifted her up as though she weighed nothing at all, her dress torn and dust-stained, her breath hitching against his chest, and he carried her into the vast prairie as the sun sank lower, painting the sky in blood-orange fire, not looking back once at the place where despair had nearly claimed her. Every step he took seemed to echo with finality, as if the earth itself bore witness to a vow unspoken. And though the prairie was endless and the dangers many, coyotes in the night, men with greed in their hearts, storms that could strip the flesh from bone, he walked on with her held against him, her tears dampening his shirt, the letter still crumpled in her grip, and somewhere deep inside, a spark flickered that he thought long extinguished. The spark of purpose, the spark of protection, the spark of something like love, though neither of them dared name it yet, for it was only the beginning. And beginnings on the prairie were always written in blood, sweat, and silence. The wind howled around them like a chorus of ghosts, but the cowboy did not falter, his boots pressing onward into the unknown, her whispered pleas fading into shallow breaths as exhaustion overtook her. And as the first stars pierced the violet sky, he adjusted her in his arms, tightened his hold, and without once looking back, toward a destiny neither could yet see, but both would be bound to by the choices made in that desperate moment. And if you, dear listener, want to know where this path will lead, through fire, through danger, through the kind of love that can only be born in the dust and shadows of the prairie, then ride with me into the next chapter. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this story, because the journey has only just begun.